to give the awards for this season. I think it's really important. Normally we give these awards to try to give some recognition to what took place during the season and give some highlights. And, with the current situation that we're in, this is normally something that we get to do in person, and you're able to kind of reflect on what did happen during the year and give people some credit and highlight some of those things and bring back some of those memories. And I think it's even more important now for us to have this to reflect upon. There's a lot to be said. There's a lot that goes unsaid a lot of times, but the most important thing for me moving into the future is for everybody to be able to process this season still, and kind of take the lessons we learned and move forward. So, congratulations to everybody that was a part of these awards, that was nominated. You guys did an amazing job. You also learned in this that you don't always sometimes get the payouts that you wanted. So the most important thing is that, the way that you do things on a daily basis, that you take pride and satisfaction out of it. I think it's definitely worth mentioning this year that, we had 30 newcomers this year. It was an incredible influx of kids to the team from all kinds of different backgrounds, and a lot of freshmen obviously, but the transfers and the group that came over from Belleville, it was just an incredible mix this year. It felt like starting over in a refreshing way. So it was a really, really fun year to work with everybody and see so much growth. So, you saw it in our most improved category, but also this Newcomer of the Year award was just, it was crazy to look at this. When everybody was asking me about what would happen at conference and nationals, and administrators were asking me, and I just didn't know, because we had so many kids that had done so many impressive things this season. So this was a contested category, to say the least. On the women's side, we had two behemoth girls that just, arguably were our top girls this year. And Stephanie, breaking the 100 back records several times this year, helped lead us off to break both medley relay records multiple times this season. Was on a tear with best times. Every time we went into a competition, we could trust that we were going to have a backstroke contending in the events every time. And it's awesome to have that, but I think for people that, see that and it's not them, they kind of just think that just comes naturally. Stephanie went in there with mono and went 5,800 backs, this year, and held down the fort for us a lot of times. And it's not easy to just do that all the time. So Stephanie's impact through competition this season was massive. You couldn't understate it at all. Beata also, was a force in every competition we went to, and broke multiple school records, 100 breast, 200 breast, 200 IM, both medley relay records. And, that they both carried a lot of pressure on their backs all season, and they did a great job in helping our women's team gain some confidence to be competitive. Typically there would be other people mentioned. Those two were so strong, but I kind of have to mention, Lissa's progression and making it into nationals and scoring at nationals this year, with an 8-second drop in her 4 IM, and we didn't even shave it, and she did all that. Meredith was a star at a lot of meets for us as well, and was able to go score a lot of big points and hold down the 2 IM for us at a lot of meets. So those two girls also were phenomenal. But definitely Stephanie and Beata rose really high to set the bar. So we did have to pick one. It kind of came down to season-long impact. and it didn't just come down to points, at any specific meet. And it was, like I said, it was right down to the wire. We did select for the Newcomer of the Year this year, throughout the whole year, Stephanie Marks. Congratulations, Stephanie. Great job. Keep it up. But thank you so much for your contributions this season. On the men's side, Newcomer of the Year. Like I said, this was a contested award this year for sure. On the men's side, we kind of had three prime candidates that came into every meet ready to swim fast. And we'll just start right off the bat. Niels was the MVP of his team before coming here, was a national champion, and so for him to try to make that transition to come in and have that kind of impact on our program was a big step. I think nobody really understood the significance of that step more than him, and he knew that, so he came in ready. So every time we went to competitions, he wanted to race. We were matched up with some pretty tough opponents this year. If you look at who we had to race, we had to race Tim Samuelson from S&T, that was a former national champion. We had to race Fabio DeLu, who broke the distance national record multiple times. So it wasn't always that Niels could beat those guys, but it was just that to hold down the fort for us in races and be ready to do those big distance races. He always was. At mid-season, he stepped up and was able to win some events at the mid-season competition and qualify for nationals and perform. So he definitely was solid throughout. Patrick, definitely going into a lot of the competitions this year. He was undefeated in that 2IM for a long time. He was top seed in the nation in the 2IM for a while. And just his desire to race every meet was big. He definitely lived for those meets and made his impact felt all season. And then Vincent. Vincent had to kind of hold down the fort at a lot of meets in that 200 free, and that's a tough one to do over and over and over. And he probably went more 142s this year than you can count, including a lot of them in practice. But he was definitely ready to make that impact and be consistent. So of these three, we had to pick one. And when it came down to it, it was that reliability for top-end performance from the first meet to the last meet. This swimmer really kind of just acted like a freshman, a little bit of just not being scared, just ready to get out there and race every time. And over time, I think that was really the ingredient that allowed him to qualify for nationals and actually achieve, kind of his potential for the season. So, and that winner was Vincent Jaworski. So congratulations, Vincent. This is really due to, the way that you just kept going all the way through conference, all the way through last chance, all the way into nationals, even to go a best time at nationals when you got the chance to swim. You just were very, very consistent. So congratulations. Keep it up. Now I'd like to recognize the most improved swimmers for the year. It was a pretty tough competition this year. It was a year where we've broken a lot of records. There have been a couple years where we've gone without breaking very many. So this year we broke a lot of records for the team, but also personally. So it's probably one of the most competitive seasons we've ever had for this award. We'll start off with the ladies. We're going to recognize 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 ladies that we've nominated for this award, which is about a third of the team, which is really impressive that many girls were in the running for this. And actually, there were a lot of other girls that aren't even in this list that dropped significant time this season as well. These are in no particular order. We'll do the nominations, and then I will announce the winner of the award. So we'll start out. Josie this year dropped 0.2 seconds in the 200, 7 seconds in the 500, 17 seconds in the 1,000, and 27 seconds in the mile. I know that for her to do that in her last season was really a big deal, to go out with great swims, and it wasn't just that she did everything better this year in training. It was actually a rough year for her in training. She broke her foot last year. So for her to get through all of that and really come back strong and put together great races at meets and have a great attitude to race with was big. And I know it impacted a lot of other teammates as well. One of those teammates that was impacted really, really positively by Josie in competition was Lissa, and Lissa was one of the nominees for this award as well. She dropped 2 seconds in her 100 free at our Nationals Last Chance meet. She dropped 2.5 seconds in her 100 fly at that swim as well. She dropped 7 seconds in her 2 fly. 100 breast was the best time. I don't really know where to find her old best time, but her time trial at conference was really good as well. She also posted a good 2 breast this year when she got a chance to swim it. She dropped a second in the 500. She dropped 33 seconds in the 1,000. She dropped 3 seconds in the 2 IM and dropped 8 seconds in the 4 IM. And Melissa still was probably going to drop some more time in nationals in that event in the finals. So it was an amazing year for Alyssa also. Marit this year dropped 4/10 in the 50, a second in the 100, 2 seconds in the 200. Really worked on improving a lot of elements in her racing, and actually in just her mindset in big meets was a lot more excited this year as opposed to nervous. So she had a really big season. I know she was going to put up some great swims at nationals and relays as well that we didn't quite get to finish. Stephanie, 50 free dropped 2/10, 50 back dropped 0.6 of a second, 100 back dropped 1.6 seconds, 200 back 3 seconds, 100 breast 7 seconds in that time trial at conference. Again, she didn't really get a chance to finish out her national meet either, but she did a wonderful job, just improving in every way. Meredith this year dropped 3.5 seconds in the 2 free, 3/10 in the 50 back, 8/10 in the 100 back, a second in the 200 back, 1.6 in the 2 IM, and 5 seconds in the 4 IM. And that doesn't even really mention some of the sprint frees she did earlier in the season. We just didn't do that when she rested, but she was just improving everywhere and set up a great freshman year to keep dropping. Shelby Casa had another great year, her second year of lap swimming in a while. She dropped 8/10 in the 50 back, 2 seconds in the 100 back, 5 seconds in the 2 back to make that national meet at the Last Chance meet after dropping 4 to go drop another, she dropped 3 at conference to go drop another 2 at the Last Chance meet was just incredible. She dropped 3 seconds in her 2 IM, 4 seconds in her 4 IM, a second and a half in her 100 fly, and threw down a 108 in the 100 breast time trial at conference as well. So it's a great season all around for her. Ashley Richard, 4.5 seconds in the 2 breast, 3 seconds in the 100 fly, 2.5 seconds in the 200 fly, 3 seconds in the 200 IM, and 14.5 seconds in the 400 IM. So those are your nominees. It was really hard to decide between those 7 swimmers, and we went back and forth, and in the end it didn't really come all down to the numbers because they were all so impressive and it's hard to compare different events. We really were looking at who made the biggest improvements with how they approached every day at the pool, and who really changed the person they were at the pool every day. And this swimmer really transformed and went from kind of being a little bit fearful at times at the pool at the beginning of the year to just letting go and unleashing big swims. And if you measured by the amount of splashing that you saw the swimmer do at the end of the races, at some of her last races this season, you'll kind of see what put her over the top. The person we went with was Ashley Richard. So congratulations, Ashley, on the most improved swimmer for the 2019-2020 season. Keep up the good work. And now for the men's Most Improved Swimmer Award for the season. We nominated 5 athletes for this award, and again, we had additional athletes that had best times and had remarkable years, but these were 5 that really stood out with across-the-board improvements. And again, like on the women's side, we do recognize the way people evolve in the pool and the way that they train and just kind of the swimmer that they are. Especially with the way the season wrapped up, is really hard to tell mathematically where some of the athletes would have come out. So again, these are in no particular order, but we'll start with Dylan, swimmer Dylan McLean. Dylan dropped 1.2 seconds in his 50 backstroke this year. He dropped second in his 100 back. He dropped 1 second in his 200 IM and 4.5 seconds in his 4 IM. And he really put together a great conference meet. Even though he was swimming exhibition, he really went in there and made every swim count. It'll definitely give us that confidence in the future to look to him to perform, when we get to those big meets. Niels dropped a half second in his 50. He definitely was at his best in the 100. Hard to quantify where he was at. Wasn't an event he always swam. He dropped 2 seconds in his 200 free. He dropped 0.8 in his 500 free. Didn't quite get to show that one at nationals either. So I have no doubt he would have dropped several seconds in that one. Dropped 22 seconds in his 1,000. And the one chance he really got to show where he'd come this season to get that second place finish at nationals was just awesome. So glad that got to happen. We didn't get to see that mile or his 500, but he definitely put in the work every day to be a better swimmer. So the mile was a question mark. He was right at his best mid-season without shaving or tapering, and so I guess we'll never know. Gelman definitely put in the work this year regularly at 5:30 in the morning to get better. In his signature events that he'd really been working at in high school, his 2 breast, he dropped 3.5 seconds. He dropped 1.5 seconds in his 2 IM. He started dropping that time, basically in practice, and had put up a lot of great efforts on a lot of those suited practice days to where we knew big drops were coming. He dropped 4.5 seconds in his 4 IM, and then, just at mid-season when we decided to put our event list together, we threw in those distance races, and he dropped 25 seconds in the 1,000 and 32 seconds in the mile. So wonderful year for Alex to get in there and work and just start making progress. Vincent dropped 1 seconds in his 200 free, 4 seconds in his 500 free, 7 seconds in his 1,000, and 24 seconds in his mile. Coming in, we weren't sure that mile was going to be his go-to event, but I think just getting into that conference meet and getting more confidence by day and being able to put that swim up it ended up being what got him into the national meet. So it was a huge improvement all around for Vincent. Jerry had big drops, obviously in his breaststroke events, but he still did put down a best 50 free, 3/10 drop. 50 back, he dropped 3/10 and got our 2 medley relay on the scoreboard at nationals. 100 breast, we drove back on that sad Friday to come back from nationals, and Jerry kept his enthusiasm up, and after a day in the front seat of a van, got out and within an hour put up a 1.3 second drop in his 100 breast and a 5.5 second drop in his 200 breast in time trial, and that was just incredible. In his 200 IM, he dropped 2.8 seconds, and his 400 IM, he still dropped a second, even though it was kind of an afterthought race for us this season. Again, this was a really tough one to do. We definitely had athletes that improved quite a bit in different ways. When it came down to it, the person we went with for this award, men's most improved swimmer, Vincent Jaworski. Congratulations, Vincent, on a great season. Keep up the good work.
most improved diver is
Taylor.
Taylor showed a lot of improvement during this season in terms of attitude and commitment and team spirit. Her dives got a lot more consistent as the season progressed, and she began to push herself even harder. My goal in August was to teach Taylor how to jump, and I did think we did that plus a little extra. I'm looking for a bright future with Taylor, and I know she's going to get even further.
We'll now recognize the hardest worker for this season. This is a difficult award to give because you don't always see this one shown, and some of the results that you'll see at times, and sometimes you'll see the results that come from this work come in a delay where people might work for a season or two and not always see that work show. It's also a really important award because working hard but working smart is really important too. Working in the way that is going to make you better. A lot of us have comfort zones where we like to work in a certain zone, and we'll work super hard in that one area, but really working in those areas that are uncomfortable and working in that same area where you've failed a lot before, I think is really what it comes down to in the long run, to be successful, because you guys are still young, and as you get older, the more you wall off and avoid certain areas, the more limits you're going to have on yourselves. So, but these people we're going to mention have done a great job of opening up a lot of areas for improvement and really digging in there and being willing to be uncomfortable quite a bit. So on the women's side, we've got 5 nominees for this award. They've all done an outstanding job of setting an expectation in training and pushing themselves and pushing others. So we'll start out with Ashley. Ashley came in this year and definitely kept a high intensity right off the bat with the way that she trained and she wanted to push. I mean, if you were to watch Dryland or you were to watch some of the more gritty sets in practice, she really had a high expectation to be pushing at the front and to always be challenging herself. And over the season, I think she definitely was willing to get more aggressive in areas that she was a little bit fearful at the beginning, specifically underwaters, specifically working on controlling her breathing. And it really helped her at the end of the season to put together good races because she could control some of those things. So her work was hard, but also evolved during the season, so that was amazing. Ola this year definitely did an amazing job of pushing through adversity. She came in her first year, worked very hard a couple of years back, and for whatever reason that character arc that you see with people that goes through 4 years kind of drifted a little bit, and she's focusing on her future but this year to really commit back to swimming and to grind and to push herself, and then she got stitches in the middle of the season. It was out of the water for over a week, and she still found a way to work. She was one of our top rated athletes in the weight room by Hunter when we were getting that feedback as well. She just pushed herself a lot to get back, and that was impressive. And in the end, we didn't really get to see all the benefits on the clock that she made. So I know that the fulfillment she got from doing that work meant a lot, and she'll know that she can always get through hard times and make progress. So that was amazing to see that growth from Ola this year, and just to be gritty and tough regardless of the outcomes that are going to come her way. Stephanie this year always tried to find a lead position in any training environment she was in, or almost all. So we still got 3 more years to kind of evolve in some of the areas with, maybe aerobic sets or fly or breast or some of those other things. But she's certainly in dry land and weights. Any of the kicking work we did underwaters was just a beast, and did an amazing job of working and also keeping a positive energy when she was working. And if she was really struggling, she was quiet in a good way. She didn't usually share. If she was in the gutter, she just kind of quietly suffered. So she did an amazing job working and pushing that bar for the whole team. Beata this year, definitely a beast as well, in every way, whether it was weight room, dry land, doing underwaters, kicking. If we got her isolated in a flutter kick set, sometimes it was a little bit of a struggle, but she always pushed that envelope in every way, and that's why you kind of saw some of the performances she had with being able to do freestyle and being able to do medley and always being able to put down good breaststroke swims at any time we needed it. Physically got a whole lot stronger through the year as well, and you could see the development. So she did an amazing job putting in that work day in, day out. Camilla, somebody that's won this award before, definitely, a strong mind in training when things are going well. But this year I think grew a lot more with being smart with her work, and when she would get frustrated, she would always find a way to get the work done. And embraced some of those spots where she had become a little stubborn in the past. And I think specifically the transition from conference through last chance through nationals was just amazing, with the way that she kind of backed off a little bit to allow herself to learn to utilize the work that she'd put in and recognize the things she'd done in the past. She had done the work, and it was just time to relax a little bit, focus on the specific things, and bring back a really great performance. So she's always been a hard worker, but I think the biggest evolution this year was in her ability to just relax and access all that work, that database of work she's put together for all these years. So in the end, we did have to pick one, and it did come down to the kind of the athlete that had the all-encompassing embrace of all the work that we did, and kind of never said no to anything. This person got tired sometimes, but it's kind of because if you go all out all the time, everybody's a human being, and this person would just say, I'm tired today, and then half the time would still light it up, but all the time would be back very soon, within a short period of time. So the person that won this year's Hardest Worker Award won it up against some really stiff competition. I'd say it was probably the hardest working women's team I've ever seen us have across the board. And the winner this year is Beata Moruschik. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Now we'll recognize our men's hardest worker and the nominees for this year. We had 3 men nominated. It's also noticeable this year that these three men had a pretty substantial leadership impact on the team in their training, as hard workers always do. But some of these guys will be moving on, and it'll be important for the rest of the team to kind of fill this role and learn from these guys and stay in touch with them and follow their lead, but also maybe see if there's even something they can even do a little bit better or differently. But we'll start out with Maxime. Maxime, from the day he came to the program, has always wanted to prove himself and kind of prove to himself that he should be here and he can play a role here, but also to all of us and everybody in the team. And especially this year, he really looked to himself to set that example and kind of control his impact in the group. When he had a hard day, he didn't want it to negatively impact anybody else. He really compartmentalized if he was struggling and come to the staff and try to make sure he was putting in that good effort that he could every day. In Dryland, he was definitely a leader and always looked to to recover the best he could, to be ready for every session. In the weight room, he was, a role model there as well. And then at the pool, we agreed this year we would focus a lot on his breaststroke, but he'd also need to do medleys at competitions, and he did his sessions properly. His backstroke developed a lot this year, even though we didn't focus on it very much. He just focused on it when he was doing it, and he was trying to become a better swimmer. His freestyle sprinting got better as well, even though we didn't really use him in enough races to show that. He was getting faster and was one of our lead sprinters as well. So that was all just work that he did. Second nominee for this award was Gerald. Gerald similarly, wanted to perform in all the right moments in training, wanted to be fast and strong, and also wanted to be a leader in all of his practice and meet opportunities. And that showed at the end of the season as well. He's developed a ton physically since he's come in. He's been working in the summers on his own to stay fit and get stronger and faster. He's been a role model in dry land and in the weight room as well. And just his energy at the right moments is huge. Our third nominee, Niels, definitely was a leader in the distance group this year as a first-year member. And he had big goals this year with the 1 year he had. And so he was hungry from day one, worked everything as hard as he could, and every once in a while needed to be told to kind of back off so we could maybe work a little smarter and not quite as hard. But for anybody that trained with him, they knew that if they were ever performing, they were going to have to challenge Niels. So I think that's a great impact in the training group. We did have to pick one, and this athlete, was really a pleasure for me to work with. I don't very often come across somebody that challenges me every single session to bring my very best energy, and I love that. And that's one of the things I love about coaching is being challenged, because I want to feel like I'm at my best regularly. And honestly, if my athletes aren't pushing me, I don't feel good about it. So this athlete pushed me. He made me come in and bring it every single day. He brought it every single day. He challenged me to use every tool I had. My scientific side to try to find the right training to do. My emotional side to be supportive but show restraint when needed. And just my competitive side to push everybody. And it was really a pleasure, and I wish I had more time, to work with this athlete. But the award went to Niels. So Niels, congratulations. Hardest worker for the men's team 2019-2020. Keep up the good work. And maybe I'll see you at a Masters meet someday, and we can do that mile together. But congratulations. Now we're going to give the Harville Lion Awards. This is a favorite for me because this award is usually going to someone that has really been, an all-around asset to the team. They're typically one of the hardest workers. They typically are a leader in the team. They typically have good grades. They're typically doing things that are the best for them personally, but also keeping in mind what's best for the team. This person is someone of strong character that is able to make sacrifices to be their best, but also to help others. And so it's definitely one of those events we're really proud to give each year. We've got some different nominees on the women's side. We're going to nominate 5 women for this award. And like I said before, we had a lot of nominees for some other awards too, and it was a pretty great year for the women all around. First, Ashley. Ashley, just with her work ethic every day, being, willing to challenge people all the time. The energy she would bring, sometimes she'd get frustrated and upset if something wasn't going the way it should. But, in the big picture, she just wanted the group to do well, and she wanted herself to do well. And the energy she brought in a practice environment and a team environment was a positive one, and definitely pushed the team to be great, and also was very supportive of her teammates along the way all the time. Stephanie also came in this season and automatically almost assumed a leadership role, was willing to be vocal in training, and not only push the quality of what was being done, but also to push the attitude to be a positive one when we were training and when we were doing hard things. And that carried over in competition. I mean, there's nothing better than your leadoff relay swimmer jumping in the pool and you feeling that confidence that they've brought to the group. It was remarkable. So she did a great job this year. Ola as well. Ola's one of the more quiet people, but for her to rise into a leadership position just because of that commitment over time and that ability to connect with different people, Ola's been someone that's been very well received by the whole team. And even though she doesn't and hasn't always been the most assertive with going after people to talk to, everybody's felt comfortable to talk to her and see her show a couple of moments where, to show her strength to the team. And if Ola does a cheer or Ola does something vocal, everybody's going to pay attention because she's earned that respect through what she's done. So she definitely was somebody that had an impact on the team to make the character strong. Karina, in the short time she was only with the program, about 2 months, and for her to come in a little bit intimidated of the level of training and swimming that she was going to come into, she did a phenomenal job of giving her very best effort every day and being ready for anything, but also being supportive rather than questioning what we were doing. She easily could have just thought that things weren't ideal for her. She was our only exhibition swimmer at conference, and she spent every single race at the other end of the pool supporting her teammates, cheering them on, going the extra mile, and just making sure that she was giving something all the time to the team, and that was incredible. Leah also wasn't able to participate fully in competition this year, and it was a challenge for her because she desperately wanted to be a part of a great team, and she gave an amazing effort in training every day, didn't really have to do any or all of it, to be honest, and worked really hard and came in and also supported her teammates when it was difficult for her to not be able to participate. She still was supporting those that were getting to get to go, and there were tons of examples where she was outside the bus when the team would leave or come home, and those were big moments that I know people that were paying attention could tell and could feel how hard that was for her. So it was a really tough one this year to make that choice. When it came down to it, we did select Leah Allen for the Heart of a Lion Award this year. Leah, we can't wait to add you to our competitive roster next year and get you in there with our cap, doing some racing for us. Thank you so much for your contributions this year, and great job. Now we'll give the Men's Heart of a Lion Award. We had 5 candidates for this award, same number as we did for the women, and this group was blended from freshmen to seniors, but overall kind of helped give the team an identity at the practice pool and also in competition. and also, dug really deep and made a lot of gestures through the season that showed that they were proud to be a Lion and be part of the program. So start out with Luke Valley. We don't get a ton of freshmen, in line for this award, but Luke definitely stood out. Luke was proud to be a Lion, from the day he committed and probably before he even committed. And, he did have an older brother that came here, but Luke's done a great job of making sure that he does what he needs to do to be his best, that he's trying to learn and put in the hard work, but also grow. And he definitely bought into a lot of the things that we asked him to do this season, saw some benefits from it, but is still committed to doing the things that he needs to do in the long term. I think everybody knows that when it's time to race or do something that Luke's going to give an effort and he's going to be exciting to watch, and I think that motivates other people to put in that work. And you can already see where his efforts positively impact other people around him, and that's really what the Heart of the Lion Award's all about, is making a positive impact on the team. So great job, Luke. Keep bringing it. Stay that way forever. Jerry, talked about Jerry with nominations for several events, but Jerry is that excitable source. When you get to a big meet, Jerry never, he's never not there. I think what people don't realize is that, it's not always natural for everybody, even Jerry, to try to have that voice and try to say that thing that's going to get everybody going. That's still a challenge. It's a challenge to be looked at. And I see Jerry naturally sometimes step up and do that, and then also I see him purposefully step up and do that. But it's impressive that he does that regularly, and he's there for the team, to be that voice that they need to have. Niels, Niels is very assertive and talks quite a bit. So anytime you're one of those people, you can have an influence on a group. It can be negative, positive, depressing, exciting, and for the most part, Niels pushed the envelope, pushed his group, and if you just think about the things that we would always say when we were repeating Niels, it was push it and let's go and okay, and that was something that was felt through the group and felt through the team. And it's definitely a positive impact, so he definitely had to be nominated for this one. Evan, as a coach, selfishly, I've always appreciated the way he comes into the pool and is supportive. I mean, he's the first guy to grab a lane rope, first guy to put the flags up, the last guy to stay, the first guy to get in, and it's just hard to understate that impact in a program. So a lot of people should probably take some more notes from Evan. He's not perfect by any means, but a lot of the things he does they do make a big impact within the program. He's in the background, part of SAC, part of organizations on campus. He's helping you guys get nominated for awards on campus. So, he's definitely doing his part to help our team out in the big picture. And Maxime, being the captain and being the go-to guy, he's going to be talked about quite a bit in some of the stuff. He's a senior. He's nominated for a couple of awards, but he definitely thinks about, in a mature way, what he needs to do to get this team to its best. And when you think about Heart of a Lion and character and commitment and that I guess vibe that you get from someone like that, Maxime helps the team feel ready to do what they need to do and to go into battle and go into race. So he's definitely got to be mentioned here. We had to pick one, and feel strongly about all five, but when it came down to it, I think it was, without a doubt, it was the way the season finished up. We wrap up the season, and you can really tell when somebody gets challenged big time and they kind of just get defeated, and how they act when that happens. And the national team was disheartened. It was a challenge to come back from. They're stripped away from a lot of their friends, and for the people that don't go, you guys need to realize how much you support this group, because when they're without you, they're naked, and it's harder to be strong because they all have a support network of people that aren't there. The parents weren't able to be on deck, but when we had to leave and come back, you could see who had that reservoir of energy and passion, and who was able to call upon that when we did our optional swim on Saturday. And Jerry just had so much energy to come back, and so much unfinished business, and so much drive to do what he did, after the nationals were over, and go 53.7 in the 100 breast and 157.2 in the 200 breast, and keep that energy up was just remarkable. And it's not just that. I mean, he definitely was willing to be that face all season when he needed to be. So Jerry Brown is our winner of the men's Heart of a Lion. Couldn't be prouder. Keep it up, Jerry. You're not only deserving of this award, but several other awards. So keep up the good work. One more season. Now we're going to give our Academic Excellence Awards. These are given to the junior or senior with the highest cumulative GPA in the program. This year we had several freshmen or first-year athletes that did have 4.0s, and their time will come. But for now, we had a couple nominees in each category here. So on the women's side, we had 3 nominees. Maddie Arnold graduated with a 3.8 GPA. Leah Allen is a junior, and she has a 3.92. But the winner this year was actually a junior slash kind of senior. She'll be finishing up next year and adding a major to continue a senior year. But it was Anna Martins. So Anna has a 3.94 GPA. She'll be graduating next season. Hopefully keep that until graduation as well. So great job, Anna, not only working hard to improve in the pool, but staying focused in the classroom. So congratulations. And on the men's side, we had 2 nominees for this award, or 2 people that were close. It came down to a 0.1 differential here. Jerry has a 3.96 as a junior, but Maxime has a 3.97 as a senior. So Maxime is your winner for Academic Excellence for 2020. Congratulations, Maxime. Give our most valuable swimmer awards for this year. We rethought, I guess, the criteria for this season. Typically in the past it's just been top scorer at NCAAs, and that's kind of as an objective for our team to push to be a national contender. That's kind of how we modeled the awards, was to reward that performance. And it's always been a discussion that's not necessarily what it's all about. And it certainly isn't. That's why we have a lot of these other awards we've been giving. But specifically with the change to GLVC, we'd already had a discussion coming into the year about changing what this award might look like, and kind of valuing those performances a little bit more at GLVCs, as it is, a really high level competition. Our women this year were 4th at GLVCs, we're 5th at nationals, and potentially could have been fourth at nationals as well. So, we've had years in the past when we went to the RMAC conference one year, we were third at conference and second at nationals. So we did go ahead and decide to do that even before what had happened at nationals. So we're going to kind of discuss, the performances that these athletes had at the conference level through the season and at nationals for the swims they got to have. But there's no doubt we had a lot of top level performers this year. I think what sets this group apart, these kids will mention for this award, is just that a little bit of heightened awareness, even anxiety sometimes with some of these athletes to perform, and just that excitement to race rather than maybe not being as motivated to race, and that kind of drives how they train, how they prepare, and the way that they race. So watching these people race this year was a ton of fun. We had 4 nominees for each men and women, and we'll start with the women. To start off, Lexi for the women. Lexi, we all know, is a competitor. She wants to race every time she gets in a meet, and she's told me several times when the gun goes off, she's just kind of blank. She just races, and I think that's the best thing about her when we get to big meets, because she just wants to go and touch the wall first. Lexi put up 99 points this year at conference. It was her second highest point total. She was a part of breaking 2 relay records at that time, which got broken again later on. She broke the 100 fly record. She already holds 50 free records, so she's been a competitor all along, but specifically this season she really stepped up her level of competing to be at the very top of our team. Leticia, was definitely a mainstay all season in distance races. It's pretty rare that you find a distance swimmer that wants to do the distance races at every meet and doesn't mind to do that. And she definitely did that, and that means a lot, Leticia, if you don't realize it. So thanks for that. But also at big moments, she put up qualifying times at mid-season, which were her lifetime best as well in several swims. She did score 92 points at conference, which was our third highest total. She had one of our best performances at nationals with the best time in the 1,000. I believe she was 9th place there. So that was our second highest performance at that point that got swum at nationals, and I know she was staged to score more points at nationals and maybe be our nationals top scorer. You never know. So she definitely had a great season. Stephanie was kind of intimidating all season, leading off our relays. It's nice to look out there and see someone jumping in to lead your relay off that looks excited to swim fast. She was part of breaking multiple school records, both medley relays. She was a part of our 4x50 relay at nationals that was in the finals, and also broke a 100 back record and potentially was looking to maybe break that 200 back record at nationals as well. She scored 64 points at conference, but that was, because she only swam 3 events. Had we added a 4th event, she would have had more. So that's a little deceiving. But last one, Beata. Beata was our top scorer at conference, 102 points. She won Newcomer of the Year. She broke 100 breast record, 200 breast record, both medley relay records. She was part of free relays, which we didn't anticipate. She was one of our top 200 freestylers, and even a part of qualifying that 4x1 at the last chance meet. Her and Lexi were a part of qualifying that relay. It also speaks to their ability to just step up and race at any point. So, when it came down to it, it was really competitive, and that's the way it's supposed to be. We've had years before where it's just a blowout, and our MVP is head and shoulders above everyone else. But I think this year to have 4 girls and even more girls that we didn't even mention that were in the running for that means something about our future competition, and none of these girls are graduating. So in the end, Beata was the winner. So congratulations, Beata, of coming out on top. But we all came out together. 3 of these girls were on relays together all season. So looking forward to an exciting year.
The winner of the most valuable female diver is
Katie!
Katie! Thanks, Leah. Katie consistently worked hard this year, always had her game face on. She steps it up at every meet and always gives 100%. Highlight for me this year was when she PR'd at the Delta Winter Invite and also won Diver of the Meet. I'm excited to see how far she can go in the next couple of years. She's a great leader and an important asset to the team. And the most valuable male diver of the year is
Dylan!
Dylan consistently works hard in practice every day. He made a ton of improvements this year, and I expect even more out of him for his senior year. His mental game and consistency showed a lot of improvement. I know he can push himself even more, and I love working with him and look forward to a great senior year.
On the men's side, we also had 4 nominees. Jerry scored 73.5 points at conference, but also at midseason put up one of our top performances. He was the top conference 200 breaststroker at that time. I think he was seated 3rd or 4th at that point when he went that time, and stayed in the top 8 until nationals, and performed really well at conference. We were holding some cards for nationals for him, and he definitely was prepared to swim faster. But he certainly could have scored more at the conference meet. One of the best things Jerry did was coming back and doing that optional time trial after nationals that a lot of you didn't get to see. He went 53.7 and 157.2 legitimately at that meet, at that time trial. And those times the 2 breasts would have certainly put him in the top 8 and probably the top 3 or 2 or maybe even 1. And the 100 breast time would have put him, likely in the top 8 or definitely in the B final, and definitely would have put up some big points. And he may have been our nationals MVP. You never know. But when I talk about the drive to race and perform, I mean that was really a big step for Jerry to do that. So he was definitely deserves nomination in this category. Maxime scored 82 points at conference. That was our second highest scorer. He was our only conference champion in the last event, the last day, with that 159.1 200 breaststroke. He was a part of our relays at conference. He was, he won numerous breaststroke races through the season. Was a part of qualifying our relay cuts in the 4 medley relay. So, Maxime definitely should be nominated for this one. Angel was actually our top scorer at conference, had 91 points. He, wasn't at the midseason meet, but he definitely made it count. He got extra focus for conference and nationals to finish out his season. When we went to nationals, he had probably the best tough race I've seen him have in that 1,000, and was able to score there in the first race. And I know was ready to kind of battle through the national meet regardless of what was coming his way. If you look back at conference, he almost false started that 2 free. They called the start. He jumped in. He got back out. People thought maybe he'd kind of lose his composure, but he buckled down. He got extra focused and put down a great swim. So he was certainly ready at the big moments in competition this season. Niels, last one was 76.5 points at conference, so he was our 3rd scorer there. He put up the best time in his 500 at conference. He was, highly ranked in the distance races. Mid-season, Niels put up one of our top performances too, making his 1,000 cut and getting in. And then when we went to nationals, he had at that point our best performance of the season. It may have remained our top performance, but it just showed that he was prepared for the big moments to compete. He did get the school record with 9:05 in that event, and I know other big things were coming. So this one kind of boiled down to just across the board performance at all the big meets, mid-season conference and nationals, and just a consistency to be a competitor and be a performer. Came down to it. This one was actually even tighter than the girls, as far as just being close between the guys, but it did come down to Niels winning our most valuable swimmer award this season. So congratulations. And to everybody, this kind of concludes our awards section. This is a little different way to do it, but I enjoyed thinking through the year and processing it. For a lot of you that got mentioned, congratulations. It's really remarkable to be mentioned for these awards, because this whole team does do a great job of making this a priority and working. So there are a lot of people that did a lot of great work, and should be really proud that didn't get nominated or mentioned. And I would just say, look within yourself. There's plenty of time for you to reflect. You guys know kind of what you did this season. You also know what you're doing now, and hopefully this time away from each other we can learn a little bit about ourselves and be prepared to come back and do something we're proud of in the future, whether or not that includes more swimming or diving at Lindenwood or not. But looking forward to seeing the rest of you guys soon. I hope you enjoy this a little bit, and hope it stimulates you to move forward. So see you guys later. I do want to recognize the folks that made these awards possible. We're going to give some very nice awards. These cost about $1,000, and so getting the financial resources to do the things that help you guys have a good experience is really important. And the parental support, the alumni support that we've had in the past years that we've gotten from them has just been incredible, and it's grown by year. This year specifically, the parents and alums were responsible for getting you guys some training equipment. The fins we got this year were mostly paid for by donations. They helped you go a lot faster, made a lot of your workouts more fun. Some of the other equipment we had, the tech suits were bought, probably 75% of those tech suits were funded by donations. A lot of the gear, t-shirts, jackets, towels, were funded by parents and alums. And these awards specifically, it's kind of become a tradition that people sponsor these awards, and that's something that John and Mandy did, and specifically John took this upon himself this year, even though he was working for another school later in the year. He spearheaded this and organized this, and so you should be thankful to him for that, to make this experience worthwhile for you guys. But I want to recognize the people that sponsored these awards. The Most Improved Awards were sponsored by Simon Morley from the class of 2011 and Morgan Fisher from the class of 19. Simon, I didn't get to coach. He finished right before I got in here, but he was definitely a big team player. Probably would have won a Heart of a Lion award with the program had we been given it. When he was there. Was a teammate of John's, and I've met him, and he's coached, and he's definitely somebody that's made sure to want to give back from his experiences in the sport. Morgan, on our staff this year, and she was a candidate for all these awards when she was on the team. She gave of her time and effort this season, and I think for any of you that would think about coming back as a coach this coming season and trying to do what Morgan did, you'd be, it's a challenge. It's a big challenge. But she's always been somebody that's wanted to help and make people better. The Most Improved Diver Award was sponsored by Ashley Holloway, and Ashley was one of our star divers and went to nationals and scored a lot of points and was a conference champion, and but she values giving back to the program as well, and she values the improvement and the work it takes to keep getting better. The Hardest Worker Awards were sponsored by Blake Logan from the class of 18 and Shelby Quinn from the class of 19. Blake was, one of our success stories of the program, because he came and gave his best effort and improved all the time, and was a big team player and a leader for us in the pool. But he also immediately, when he went out the door, wanted to turn right back around and ask what we needed. I've had several phone calls this year from Blake where he just asks how things are going. Sometimes I'm not sure if he's got an agenda while he called or if he's just trying to check on me. So he's a very caring alum and has a lot of gatherings. If you guys follow social media, there's been a lot of gatherings out in Colorado with the alums, in and around Blake. We've got a big nucleus of kids out there around him. Shelby also was a candidate for all these awards, but more importantly, wanted to make sure that she allowed everyone in the program to have the experience that she did. And even though it was a challenge for her to give that time and make those sacrifices, it wasn't easy this year for her to do that. But she really stepped up and made sure that all you guys had the opportunity that she had. The Heart of a Lion Award was sponsored, both awards, by Mackenzie Helmick. She was Mackenzie Porter when she was on the team. She married one of our football stars and has started a family and had her first child this year and is doing amazing. She's from the class 15, and she was on the team when I arrived, and I brought with me some difficult challenges for that program, and she stepped right up and worked through it and did a great job and helped to hand that team over to kind of some future athletes, and has definitely stayed invested in the team. The Newcomer awards were sponsored by Christian Vasquez, class of 19, and Kelsey Nettles, class of 15. Christian, you guys know, obviously, he was a Newcomer of the Year, an MVP, one of our hardest working guys, academically outstanding. But the most important thing about Christian is that he's always tried to be self-aware and tried to see what he could do and tried to grow and improve. And one of those things is to give back. I mean, he doesn't have a ton of money. He's trying to find jobs to take care of himself and be independent. But for him to give money as well as his time is just shows what kind of person he is. Kelsey Nettles was also in that transitional group that I got to work with when I came in, and she really gravitated towards the challenge of improving and seeing what she was capable of. She came along on our training camp a couple years ago in Florida and gave her time and energy, and has always wanted to know what she could do to help you guys be better. The academic awards were sponsored by Carlos Cabral from the class of 16 and Ali Steinhauser from the class of 19. Carlos, from day one when we started sponsoring these awards, I think he was the first one to give money to sponsor these awards. As a first-year professional, he wanted to give back. He wanted to make sure that all of the kids on the team were being recognized in the classroom. And, he always has been trying to use his opportunity here to do the best that he can and to give back. Allie was someone that, she came in the program. She transferred out one year. She transferred back, and she missed being in the program and really made that sacrifice financially, and just emotionally to come back to the team and do that. She made nationals her senior year. She kept an outstanding GPA through all of it, and it was just normal for her to just do well. So she definitely made that gesture as well to keep the team prioritizing that academic success. The MVP awards for diving were sponsored by Kevin Mullins from the class of 07 and Ashley Wilhite from the class of 09. To have divers from that far back, reaching out to donate. They don't know any of you guys. It just shows what kind of history there is in the program, and those athletes made a big gesture by contributing to you guys. The swimming awards were supported by Michael Winovich and Aaron Sutton. Michael was actually a swimmer at Drury, and he was a graduate assistant there, and he was a graduate assistant here. And so he's actually the only donor that wasn't ever on this actual team. But, he's been able to be successful in his life by, utilizing his connections in swimming, and he definitely wants to give back to others in this position. So he donated to make that award possible. And Aaron Sutton was from our graduating class last year, good friends with Morgan, and and Shelby and Christian and a lot of the kids around the program still. She's in nursing school now, and she excelled very well in our program and improved a lot, did well academically and performed, and she just wants to give back. So, it's a little bit overwhelming to me, the support that we've had this season from people giving their time, from parents going the extra mile to make sure you guys are taken care of. So I want to say thank you to everybody. And these awards just show a little bit of what's being made possible, but also, how enjoyable this process has become for the kids on this team. Thank you.